Good blessed Saturday morning, February the 18th, 2023. It's about 7:45 a.m. I greet all human beings all around the world with the universal greetings of peace and the blessings of God be with you. Doesn't matter what your political, philosophical, personal, or your religious beliefs may be. Doesn't matter whether you're the richest to the poorest person on the face of this earth. Doesn't matter whether you're the proclaimed toughest to the proclaimed weakest person on the face of this earth. Doesn't even matter if you're my family, friends, nor my proclaimed enemies. Doesn't matter whether you like me or anything I say or do. That's your prerogative. You have a right, you have constitutional rights to do a lot of things that you want to do, long as you do it in a peaceful, in a orderly manner. I'm here in Charleston, Missouri, Mississippi County, on the, I'll be on the northwest side of the street, because this is Main Street right here. It divides east and west, but this is Cleveland here in Maine. Across the street is the east side of the street. What I'm focusing on today is downtown City Hall. The reason I'm down here today is I'm going to give you all some insight on the history of the Charleston, Missouri Police Department. Okay, if you can see where it says City Hall, but I'm going to try to scoot over where it says Charleston, Missouri Police Department. Let me see if I can get over here close enough without getting hit by a vehicle or anything. Let me see if I can get over here and get out of the sun. Okay, let's take a look here. You see what that says? It says that's the police and the fire department. This is City Hall here. This is where you go pay your water bills and things that have city council meetings and stuff like that. But I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna give you some history on some of the personnels here and show you the corruption and show you how Scorpion Unit just didn't start in Memphis back in January the 7th, 2023 in Memphis with the 5 police killing and beating Tyree Nichols. It's been here in Charleston, Missouri over 2 decades since I've been down here. But I'll be back and show you some of the key players, show you the head Scorpion Unit chief in command or director, Robert Bobby Hearns, in his history. All right, let me start by showing y'all this Scorpion Unit again. Starting with Robert Hearns right here, the director or chief of the police and fire department. Show you his corruption, starting back in the year 2000, when him and another police officer, white by the name of Beth ACAP, came to my house in 2000 without a search warrant, without any probable cause, forced me out of my house and took me down to the police station. Got an affidavit now, a so-called sworn affidavit, to get me arrested. Now, if he got a sworn affidavit to get me arrested, he should be definitely one of the ones that be in court. He never came to court. He got the affidavit because by his family, the Hearns family, is one of the big families that, well, they slowly but surely getting old and dying off. But his family is one of the biggest families here in town. And they got what some of the people in this town think is power, but they don't have more power than God. You see what I'm saying? God given and God take it. See, they don't live forever. I don't guess he don't see that. You know, his family members, you know, that used to be the governor, they not here anymore. May Governor Hearns rest in peace. You know, his wife is getting kind of old, Betty Hearns. I don't know if she's still alive or not. Used to be a Missouri senator. But I'm telling y'all this for a reason, because this man not only abuses the power that he gives. He's not a elected official. The city council, the city hall, they choose who the chief of police is. We don't even choose who the mayor is down here. We vote in the city council, but we don't vote in the mayor, the city manager, nor the chief of police. This guy here, ain't no question about it. He's a racist. I don't care what the blacks that went to school with him say. But let me tell you, he got a affidavit to get a warrant after he illegally took me out of my house back in 2000, June of 2000, him and this white police officer. And the prosecuting attorney that he took the affidavit to, a white female who family, I don't know if they still big farmers here, the Raffertys, Jennifer Rafferty. And I think I'm pronouncing her name right. And then it went in front of a judge that's a good friend of theirs, a judge that was on the bench about 25 years. He retired and went down there to Ferguson, going in and out on cases down there. But he comes here every now and then. Judge, I believe his name, Brown. But they fixed the trial. They tried me and convicted me. And this man never came to court, not one time. That ain't the only thing this man did. This man back in, I believe it was 2014, it was a shooting on the corner of Wallhousing and Vine Street. Some of the places I show y'all most times, they allow the criminals to do things to me and my family and don't do anything about it. But Robert Hearns came, his vehicle, y'all know how my driveway look, his vehicle was parallel parked, like as if blocking my driveway. He had a individual, civilian just sitting up front with him, congregating, talking, while I believe, I don't know if this crook here, Mike Coleman, was there or not, but I know Wes McDermott was there. I know this here crook, Zachary Albright, was there. I don't know if this crook was there. And I know this good officer, James Williams, was there. He's a Mississippi County sheriff. I mean, not a Mississippi County, but the state of Missouri Highway Patrol. But James and the chief and them, James responded on foot because it was another shooting. I guess the shooting that was by my house, some people was on the corner of Wallhousing and Vine Street by the projects, shooting at an individual that took shelter behind on the other side of my bushes on my property. I can smell the gunpowder outside. But anyway, 5 of the bullets hit inside of our house. But James Williams, when he came, he met me before. This was in 2014. Met me in October 2014 when him and the one female from the Department of Aging was sent to my house by an anonymous phone caller saying that I kidnapped my dad from Chicago and I was abusing him. My dad hadn't been here no more than a week. And who would know what's going on in my house besides me, my dad, and my 2 young daughters? Now, James got to know me then, him and the lady from the Department of Aging, because I let him come in and went on and let the lady from the Department of Aging come in. But the reason why I'm telling y'all this story, when James came, I felt comfortable with James. James felt comfortable with me because he knew how some of the Charleston, Missouri Police Department and some of the law enforcement officials here and the judges, prosecuting attorneys, Susanna Wesley, some of these other people treated me and my family, but he wasn't doing that. He was investigating. My youngest daughter showed him a piece of lead from the bullet that came through our side window and landed in the kitchen. And that was the only one that we can find that day. So the chief of police, he's still out there congregating with an individual in his vehicle. And he sends Officer Wes McDermott into my house to tell James he wanted James Williams to go to a 3-car accident. James told him he didn't have no car. I told James he can use one of my cars. I think I had a Crown Victoria then and a Grand Marquis. I told him he can use my Crown Victoria. He said no. He said he's standing here with my dad and me and my 2 daughters, especially at what happened. He don't know we didn't know at the time whether they were shooting in my house or not. So he told Officer McDermott to tell the chief of police that he was staying here. He let the chief of police know I'm not going. But now let me tell you, the chief of police didn't get out of his car. He didn't have no crime scene tape. He didn't do nothing. James was on some other mission the next day, and he sent who he thought was all right, this fathead police right here, Zachary Albright, a crook, an officer that was fired from the Sykes in Missouri police department about 15 or 14 miles south of here because somebody allegedly broke in his vehicle and stole his gun. That's not surprising to me. That's not surprising. The majority of the police that come on Charleston, Missouri Police Department. But James sent Albright to come take some pictures and thing, and I let Albright in my house, somewhat trusting him because James had sent him. The next day, or later on that day, I called the police and let them know I was outside a few feet away from where the chief of police was standing and found another live bullet to show you what type of investigation they was doing. James Williams was doing his job, but the chief of police didn't want nothing solved when it came to me. But anyway, Albright came, took pictures. I got a YouTube video of him taking a picture of it, taking the bullet, the lead, and putting it in a bag. But that's just them so far. Let me see who I'm gonna go to next. I think I'm gonna go to the sergeant, the black sergeant, Percy Owens. It was on May the 19th, 2008, about a little bit after midnight. It was on Malcolm X's birthday. Sergeant Percy Owens and another officer who did what like James Williams did. He quit not too long after Percy and the chief of police and the judge, prosecuting attorney, and some of the rest of these criminals that we trust that said that they serve and protect. Percy Owens, the sergeant, and this other officer, white officer, come to my house with my 2 young children's mother, which she had been out in the streets for 3 days and 3 nights. She left out on the 16th of May. And I made a report on the 17th to the now captain of the sheriff department, Barry Morgan. He ain't in this, but y'all see some of the YouTube videos I made. But I made a report to him. He was a police officer then. He did nothing. Told me to go ahead on home. But they knew she was out in the streets on drugs for 3 days and 3 nights. They brought her back on the 19th, a little bit after midnight, and told me that a judge gave them, this was what Percy telling them, a judge gave them an expose for her to come get the children's. What would a judge get somebody out in the streets for 3 days and 3 nights on drugs, giving them expose to take my children's, who was like about 1 and 2 years, barely 1 and 2 years old then. But I told Percy I'm not letting her take these children.
and he pulled his gun out on me and told me to sit down. And I told him and the white officer that came in, I said, God gonna deal with y'all. The white officer handed me the expose, and this is exactly what he told me because he knew me. He said, Raymond, I don't have nothing to do with this. I'm doing what my supervisor telling me to do. Percy was his supervisor. Now, the chief of police know about it. Everybody else know about it. They had a phony expo tape saying that a Judge Brown signed it for her to get the children to get in the house. She didn't want to get in the house. She wanted the children so she can go get more drugs and have the Susanna Wesley Family Learning Center and the rest of these racist and crooked law enforcement officials and these groups that call themselves black and white. They call themselves helping people. But that officer, he ended up quitting. My daughter was gone for 70. My daughter was gone 70 days and 70 nights. When I finally got them back, my then 1-year-old had turned 2. Her arm had been broken in the streets. Her elbow had been fractured in the streets. For the doctor in St. Louis said at a minimum of 2 weeks, just because of this sergeant, this chief of police, and some of the rest of them that was crooks. Let me show you something else about this sergeant and officer Higgins, Mark Higgins, and some other officers. In 2015, me and the sergeant's cousin was videoing crime here in Charleston, Missouri. And I used to set out and show how corrupted the police was. They wasn't doing anything. And when we got through, my video man would go home and upload it on a CD. And his some of his friends, the sergeant then brother-in-law, Lester Gillespie, and some of his drug dealing workers at the C.F. Bowen Center told him that I was videoing and showing the place of not the Susanna Wesley, but the Civic Center where the Lester Gillespie hiring drug dealers. But anyway, the sergeant and some of the other police officers, Higgins was there with him, went to my cameraman's house and told him if he upload that CD and didn't give it to him, I guess so he can destroy it, he said he was going to lock me and the video man up. The video man called me and I told him, let him come on over here. I said, man, upload that and get that to me. He never gave it to me. Higgins admitted that he was there when Sergeant Percy Owens and the other officers told my cameraman what they was going to do. Now, let's go to Brenda Bifford. No, not Brenda Bifford. Let's go back to, let me see, 2016. Percy Owens, the sergeant, this officer back here, Mike Coleman, no longer with him, and this chief of police, when I went down to the police department to make a complaint for charges against one of my neighbors who was frightening my daughters and them, and it was indirectly threatening me right in front of my young daughters then. When I got down there, Sergeant Percy Owens, Officer Mike Coleman, and the chief of police told me to come on in the back. Then they closed the door and told me I had a warrant against me. And I asked him for what? Percy Owens was just looking at the paper, and I said, for what? They said they didn't know. They locked me up for videoing Lester Gillespie around April the 9th, 2000, and I believe it was 16. And they refused to allow me to write file a complaint against my then neighbor. That show you the corruption. They didn't lock me up. I had to bond out. But let's go to Brenda Bifford. When a white bus driver did something to my then 5-year-old daughter in the school, and I made a complaint on February the 1st, 2012. My daughter had already told her story to the black assistant principal, who may rest in peace. He later hung himself after he left there, but before he hung himself, he told me, asked me would I forgive him, and he apologized for the fact that the Brenda Bedford in the school made him lie and said the bus driver didn't do nothing to my child. But after I had other black newspapers publishing my story about these people, one in Chicago, well, two of them in Chicago, and the Standard Democrat, and it was telling about this lady, Brenda Bedford. All of a sudden, the police come to my house saying that they got an anonymous call that I was doing something to my daughters. Guess who come? Brenda Bedford's son, Keith Bedford. Him and another police. But I made some calls. My family and friends came, and people was putting it on Facebook in case they tried to do something. And end up, while I was on the phone, Brenda Bedford's son, Keith Bedford, told me that I got to get off the phone. The police officer that was with him told him that I don't have to. They was there just with Children and Family Services. And Children and Family Service tried to make my then 6-year-old daughter, Queen Ramona Nicole Ivy, said that I was doing something to her and my youngest daughter, Birdie. Queen told him, my daddy ain't doing nothing to us. You want to know what that white bus driver did to my sister on the bus? They didn't want to know that. But that go to show you how they are. You see what I'm saying? And let me see something else. Let's go to this guy here, Higgins. Not Higgins, but Officer Zach Albright. He the one wrote a phony police report on me, I believe on April the 9th, 2016, saying that I was harassing and stalking Lester Gillespie, which they arrested me, convicted me, but he ended up leaving the police force. Austin Henson, in this one here, I believe his name is Douglas Arnold, or Arnold Douglas. Him, Arnold, Lance, and Henson, they was all involved with a black guy that he was murdered. But see, it didn't get attention, and it didn't get attention. Look it up. Torrey D. Sanders died in the Mississippi County Jail here in Charleston, Missouri. I believe it was on May the 8th of 2017. 5 officers combined with sheriff deputies. All of them was gangbanging him. The only one that they arrested but didn't charge with murder was the then sheriff, Corey Huxton. But it was personal with Josh Hawley, who was the Attorney General, the Missouri State Attorney General at the time. Now he's a Missouri State Senator. You can see that he's a racist. He had his fist ball when during the riot. I ain't gonna call it no insurrection. The riot in Washington, D.C. on the 21st of on the 6th of January, I believe in 2021, when all them white supremacists stormed the Capitol. But Josh Hawley, he arrested the sheriff, but why ain't he arrested with what he doing in there? He got rid of that one particular sheriff. He might have not been doing right, but he didn't have them other officers arrested. If it was the right people in power, it would have been in the newspaper. You never seen none of these officers' names in the newspaper. The captain, if you a captain and you know all the crooked stuff that your chief is doing, then you would report it. The same with these officers. This one here, Douglas, Brent Douglas, he done gone to the ambulance service here. The ambulance service is ran by just about by Brenda Bedford here's family, her and her son's family. Brenda Bedford's, I think, brother or somebody is I believe, a high-ranking city of Charleston, Missouri, ranking member. They was a ranking member on the school board, Charleston R1 school district school board, and they run parts of the ambulance service. But her son, he was left Charleston, Missouri Police Department. He's a captain now down in East Prairie, Missouri. See, they get promoted when they kill blacks. He killed a 34-year-old black mentally ill guy. Everybody in the town knows he's mentally ill. Brenda Bedford was on the scene. Percy Orm was on the scene, and the chief was on the scene. They said the threat supposed to have been to the chief. Why didn't the chief shoot him? Why didn't Brenda Bedford shoot him? Why didn't Percy Orm shoot him? The chief and the sergeant, Percy Orm, they had 20 and 30 years on the force. I'm gonna tell you why they didn't shoot him, because they knew it wasn't no threat. But this is the Scorpion unit, y'all. You see that I made complaints about the chief of police to the city manager twice. On January the 3rd, on January the 26th, then I made a complaint to the whole city council. The whole city council on February the 14th, on Valentine's Day of 2023. Ain't nothing done yet, y'all. This is your Scorpion unit, y'all. They use other people, black and white, to try to do things to try to set me off. But see, I asked them black and white people, don't let these people get y'all killed, because when you come on my property trying to threaten me, and I don't care who listening to it, ain't no wound in none of y'all. Police officers, if you don't have no warrant like Mark Higgins, then don't come on my damn property. I don't respect half of y'all. Lance, even though he was a part of those that jumped on that guy, I ain't never had no problem with him. This man back here, I don't think that's Mark Higgins. And if it ain't, I asked him to apologize. But him and his dad are ministers. And they invited me and my two daughters, my youngest daughters, to an event that they had in Bertrand, Missouri, where his dad was a preacher. But I think he branched off. But he used to be the dog catcher. And you can ask him. I used to help him out catching dogs. I used to help James Williams' dad out when he was the dog catcher. Helped them catch dogs. I did what I can to try to help. But this guy here, he never did anything wrong. He became a dispatcher, but he had sense like James Williams, and left the Charleston, Missouri Police Department and went to Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and was working for if he's still working there, working for the Central Dispatch in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. I'm going to leave y'all, but most of these people on here is Ku Klux Klan. They racist. They corrupt. Douglas Arnold, he left after the guy got killed in the jail. And then he went to the Scott County Sheriff's Department. Now he back here. I wonder why, y'all. Let me show you something else before I leave. Let me see if I can find it right quick, y'all. Yeah, this is what I want to show y'all. Take a good look at this arrow. Now, this lady here, I don't know. I don't think her or these children's or this lady right here is a part of this Scorpion unit. But the rest of them, the preachers that y'all see on here, all of them is part of this Scorpion unit. They part of Susanna Wesley Family Learning Center, Prosecuting Attorney's Office. You can see one sheriff, deputy. And this here, I'm going to show you how God worked. This was the prosecuting attorney here. him along with these other people like Lester Gillespie right here. That's Lester Gillespie's brother-in-law, or used to be. You see what I'm saying? All of them, they took part in a lot of stuff that happened to me and my two daughters in this town. But ask your question why on December the 7th, 2022, when Lester Gillespie tried to burst his way into one of his properties at 603 Lee Street here in Charleston, Missouri, on the southwest side, forcing his way in on a female. That's what he got. He got a habit of doing when they don't want to lay with him no more. Forcing his way in there, and he's not arrested. Tell me why is that? Remember his brother-in-law. You remember all these other people. But let me tell you this here before I go. This prosecuting attorney, when people did things to me, he never talked to me damn time. But guess what God put him at now? He's in the cemetery. He died a year or so ago of COVID, rather. You see, the rest of y'all that's doing wrong to me and my family, if the shoe fit, wear it. God see what y'all doing. You see what I'm saying? God see what y'all doing. But one thing about it, I'm going to tell y'all, there are not no coalition to stop violence. This is the white supremacists here in the shoe fit, wear it. The white supremacists allow blacks to be a part of their thing now. All you got to do is look how Lester smiling, y'all. Because they letting them get away with a lot of stuff. Long as all they black people do this stuff in the black community. Peace be still.